the CPU. And this pump with the fitting, beautiful neural.
Hey guys, Virgil with Crazy Cyber, and today we got a video that I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for. Today we are going to go through Hulk and perform the final assembly. We're going to get everything installed, everything wired up, everything ready for boot, and this will be hopefully the last video in the series. At the end of the video, we're going to go through cost breakdown, we're going to test hash rates, all that good stuff, guys. Let's get into it.
Now, in today's video, we're going to be doing a couple things, mainly wiring it up. I personally like to take my time with my wiring. I like to, heat shrink and loom and make it look pretty. So wherever we can do that, we're going to be doing that. But the main task for the day, besides getting the power supply in and running all of our cables, is going to be mounting the fans to the radiator and deciding which one of these fan hubs, SATA powered fan hubs, we're going to use in order to power the 6 radiator fans. Now, that's not a massive task, but it is still something we have to do. Another change is actually we're going to be using this Carbon Edition AMD graphics card instead of the GTX 760, because I actually ended up giving that to a buddy who was using like a GTX 610 or something ridiculous like that. So I gave him the 760. He likes to play his Grand Theft Auto, and it's not ideal for Grand Theft Auto, obviously. It's old and, budget card, but it was free for him, and it was a massive upgrade for him. So we're going to be using the Carbon AMD that I got off of Facebook Marketplace for the for Hulk, and that's going to be an upgrade over the GTX 760. It's kind of a waste because this graphics card's probably never going to see anything over a 5% load. But really just using it to see a screen so that I don't have to use the built-in VGA that came with the SuperMicro motherboard. So I'm going to go ahead and, so in addition, obviously, before I forget, in addition to everything, the CPUs are not inside the board right now, so we'll have to pull off the water cooling system, at least these tubes right here, these 4, probably 5, and we'll need to install the CPUs, which is always a good time. I do have a digital torque meter from my mechanic base. I don't know if it's going to go down to the torque spec that these type of CPU trays are set for. They're usually in inch pounds, not foot pounds, but hopefully they're within 12 Newton meters, which I doubt, but hopefully they are. We'll see what happens. Otherwise, we'll just have to do it hand tight and hope we get it within that spec. So I think the thing that we're going to start with is we're going to start putting the fans on the radiators and determining where we're going to put the fan hub and making sure everything's going to work properly for that. First thing is we're going to pull off these 4 tubes, probably 5 here. I'm gonna post a separate video after Hulk is done and we get all the numbers to where I replace some of these bends that are really bad. Eventually I'm gonna redo basically the whole front side of the system. Okay. Got all of our fans and our fan hub. We want to line this up. I'm thinking I might even put the fan hub and just stick it right on the side of the radiator. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, and then these connectors we will loom. Tolerances of this fan are very tight. Like in order to get this last bolt in, you gotta have it loose, and then you can. Also, you don't want to over torque these. This radiator has copper threads, which can easily be stripped. Got my loom here, and best way to cut it is you find out where you want to cut it, you wrap electrical tape in it, and that keeps all the fibers in place, and then you cover that with heat shrink. I want to try to get like both sides in their own loom, but the issue is they're different lengths, right? Well, they're all the same length, but they're going to be in different spots, which will make them different lengths. So I might have to do like the bottoms together and then the middles together and then the tops together, which is, I think, the perfect solution. How you cut this. See that nice clean cut? Beautiful. Hopefully you can see that. So we'll go in with our first one first. So we're going to heat shrink that right there. Okay, and look at that. Super clean, way better than just these wires, right? So we know we can plug both of our socket or our connectors in with no problem. So we're gonna grab our other piece from the one we cut and we're gonna slip it over. We're gonna have to do it one at a time, make sure we can connect them. We sure can. So we're gonna heat shrink it right here. And look at that, guys. Look how much cleaner that is now. I really enjoy doing this. I find this to be very therapeutic, but whatever. So we got plenty of flexibility in our loom itself. It can bend and stretch, but now the ends aren't going to fray because we've encapsulated them in the heat shrink. So now I can take my connector and then look at that, guys. Look how much better that looks. I mean, tell me that's not so much cleaner. And when we get these ones done, and then these ones, it's gonna look a lot cleaner. And I think additionally, we'll bundle this loom together with my Rocoren cable tie Velcro stuff and just add a nice touch of branding, as well as just making it look better and cleaner. One of the things I was playing around with was potentially just wiring a connector from this and then putting it in like a, you know, a weatherproof, typical, nice looking automotive style connector, and then just cutting these connectors off and then pinning them to the nice connector so I could disable all of them at once. But I figured that was kind of involved, and once this goes on, I really should not have to service it and take the fans off all that much. The liquid maybe, but the fans should, you know, they're on here now, they should realistically never need to come off. Get it over everything. Okay, we're gonna hold that in place. We're gonna move our wire that's already been shrunk. Guys, come on. Beautiful. Dude, I love wiring this type of thing. I cannot wait. One of the reasons I can't wait to build my CNC machine is I'm gonna design the wiring harness from scratch, and we're gonna be using like the nicest connectors I can get, heat shrinking everything, braiding everything, cable chains. Like, it's gonna be a really fun wiring project. I'm really looking forward to it. With heat shrink going on. Okay, we're right next to the connector, so we will be able to connect our pieces no matter what. So we're gonna shrink that right there. Alright guys, come on, man. Beautiful. First one in. Heat shrink, cut in half. And I've got to get better about doing that on camera, but squeeze our loom closed. Try to get all those fibers in there. And there it is. Guys, I mean, tell me that's not so much cleaner. I love it. I love it. Alright guys, and that is our fan system done. We can plug everything in. tell me that's not so much cleaner. I mean, guys, tell me that's not a lot cleaner than just a bunch of wires dangling zip tied. We've got our radiator all set up and ready to go. So we can put that in place and grab onto the magnet immediately. Let's throw our tubes back in. Man, I keep grabbing that. All right, so now let's grab the seat. Let's do the CPUs. Got our Corsair TM30 thermal paste. This is my favorite stuff. I use this in all my builds. TM30. Yum. Alrighty. The moment of truth. Sheesh. Sheesh. The peel.
Nice.
Ooh, sheesh. First AMD EPYC. I have to go get a Torx bit, but beautiful. All right, guys, I got my fancy gear wrench ratchet. Gear wrench, wouldn't mind a sponsor. Love your stuff. That is a T20. You would think this would be a captive screw, and it appears to be. Okay, spring loaded. The first CPU is installed. Sheesh. Man, one of the coolest experiences I've ever had, tech-wise. Absolutely beautiful. My goodness. Sheesh. All right, we'll install the second one and then do our thermal paste application. These are so beautiful, I can't even describe it.
Nice.
The second EPYC that I've lived in these boxes for about 2 years. Finally going home. Just so beautiful. I can't wait to get a thread ripper. Sheesh. Sheesh. Flat pins is really nice too. Flat connectors, I guess I should say, because Lord knows how much more nerve-wracking these would be if they had exposed pins. Okay guys, the CPUs are in. I'm going to get a microfiber and I'm just going to clean off the surface of any oils or anything before I apply this thermal paste. Okay, 91% isopropyl. There is some oil, you see that guys? It's important to do that. Now it's time, thermal paste. Now I'm going to be using the finger method. I'm just going to smear it with my finger so I can ensure complete and total coverage. This is nerve-wracking. I actually haven't put thermal paste on anything in several months. Definitely not CPUs this expensive. Oh, thank God I bought that second tube. I was worried that might happen. Tube number 2. Okay, I'm hoping that that's going to be enough, but we're going to put the water block on, check it, and then if we need to apply more, we'll apply more. So, let's get the water blocks on. Now this one I think has more, so if this one covers, we should be good. That's beautiful coverage. We're gonna do more, because in some of these, no, actually looking, it's all on the block. It's all the way on the side, but we're gonna do just a couple dots. And normally I wouldn't fret so much about getting perfect coverage, but these are going to be operating at 100% of the time. So anything we can do to help the cooling, we should do. Alrighty, that is on there. Now, block number 2. Okay, that is on there. The CPUs are in. The thermal paste is in. Beautiful. Alright, what I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to check some of these questionable bends that the tube kind of got like burnt. So I'm gonna go check them and make sure they're all good to go. And then we will focus on wiring
Everything.
Here we are with Hulk back in the factory. I already told you guys the plan. We got all of our tubes that we're gonna be rebending right here. Got our new tubing from Amazon right here, clear, just as advertised. And Hulk already has the CPUs in it. We're gonna obviously be doing a final clean and all that. And so let's jump right in. We got our heat gun, and luckily for us, we have our tubes, which we can use as a template.
And look at that, much, much, much cleaner. No folding at all, beautiful.
Alright guys, so we are back in the lab, and it's time to start getting the machine ready for the wiring. I'm incredibly excited. I really cannot wait for this thing to fire up, see the display light up, this display. I'm just super hyped. I have to wipe it off still, but this is going to be the power button for Hulk. This is real carbon fiber that I had from a motorcycle project from years ago. And it's going to be mounted off this bracket right there like that. And I think it's going to be a really cool, clean look. They say if you can't make something perfect, you make it adjustable. Beautiful. All right, so that is the Hulk power button made out of real carbon fiber plate. Hulk power button, real carbon fiber plate. Very soon, I don't want to give it away just yet, but very soon I'm going to be building something that is going to allow me to make things like this absolutely perfect, like a computer did it. Hint, hint. All right. That we got our power and all that good stuff. It's hard for me to read right now on camera, but I'm going to pull up a diagram. So that's where we need to end up from our power button here. And I've got my braided loom, because these wires are ugly, and I got my heat shrink, and we're gonna make this pretty. So I'm gonna go ahead and tape the ends of these so that they'll go through the loom smoothly and not get snagged. Okay, so that'll go through smoothly. I'm gonna measure out our loom. We want this coming right to the end because I really don't like the look of these Italian color wires. Like butter. And beautiful right there. Looks like we'll be able to get away with this smaller size. Okay, and we're gonna come right up to the edge with it. And one of the things I want to look into is potentially getting some crazy cyber heat shrink made that has like the logo printed all over. I think that's something that gets overlooked that could really add a cool little aesthetic touch to wiring builds, is having like, you know, a logo or some sort of pattern on this. Okay, now before I do this, I'm going to be intelligent, and I'm going to check, and I'm going to pinch them here and make sure that I have enough play to get to each of the headers. Wow, okay, the power switch and the LED are actually extremely far away from each other. It doesn't specify which one is the negative and which one is the positive, but if I can get this to here, I should be okay. Yeah, I would definitely be okay shrinking it here. So I'm just gonna real quick just hit it. Don't want to have it there too hot. I don't want to potentially damage any of the components with the heat. And this stuff is not shrinking very well. So there's the negative. So I'm just going to put the black one here and the green one here. Okay, there's our power button all wired up. Let's bolt our switch in. That our heat shrink is gonna fit over the threads. Okay, now isn't that gonna look so much better with the exposed wires? I mean, forget about it. So we're gonna shrink this. Okay. And then we're going to do one to go over the threads, but actually we're going to get a longer one. So I'm going to have to do this twice. Okay guys, tell me that's not 1,000 times cleaner. I really enjoy wiring, guys. I really enjoy it. Okay, so that is the very first component wired on Hulk, and I think it's gonna look super cool with that purple LED. We need to tighten it down, but super cool. Just tighten it down, guys, and this is rock solid. I could probably push the whole thing by that. Okay guys, so we are going to wire to the pump and send power to the pump. We're not going to hook up the LCD screen, but we are going to use a Molex connector to do that. Oh, it looks like there's already a jumper in here. Okay, that is power to the pump. When I last left off, I showed you guys the jumper wires that come with the Supernova power supply that allows us to send power to various components. So right now we have the water pump powered up. I'm gonna run a cable from the power supply to the power source. And that way, when the power is sent, only the pump will be active. I don't have the CMOS battery in the motherboard. We're trying to protect everything in case there are any leaks in this setup. So I'm gonna undo the fill port here. And in this incredibly exciting moment, we are gonna put coolant into Hulk for the first time. So I have this cleaned out sauce bottle with a very fine tip, and that's what I'm going to be used to filling it. I'll be putting the mod water coolant into this and then using that to fill the reservoir. So first I'm going to plug this into power, and then we are going to start this great journey. This is incredibly exciting for me, guys. This has been 2 years in the making. Okay, let's begin filling. Okay. Now, moment of truth. Oh my gosh! That is sick! The power supply with the jumper wire is working perfectly. Guys, I cannot tell you how amazing this moment is. Look at this color, guys. The water blocks filling up. This is so beautiful. Now we're gonna really adamantly check for any leaks in any of these fittings. I double checked all of them before we filled and it looks like everything is good, but we're gonna let this run for quite some time just to ensure that any air pockets or air bubbles work their way out, and we're gonna just let it run for quite some time just to ensure there are no leaks. All right, I'm gonna let this run for a couple hours, make sure there's no leaks. We don't have any power going to any other components, so we know that we're safe even if there is a leak. But the last thing on earth that we want is to spring a leak when the system has power. So we're gonna let this run for quite a long time and make sure that nothing goes wrong. I'm back after letting this run for about an hour, and it looks like we are no longer seeing any air pockets or air bubbles anywhere. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the cap on. And let's see what happens when we shut off the pump. Beautiful. So now we need to deal with the wiring. This should be quite straightforward, like any basic ATX build is usually. You got your two CPU connectors, your 24-pin connector, and then we have two 8-pin connectors here. On a normal ATX build, you would only have these two. Luckily, the cables I needed were provided with this power supply has a spot for a second CPU. You can see CPU 2 right there. So that's good to go. Now, really the only thing we need to figure out in this process is where we're going to mount the RGB controller for the water blocks. They have these 4-pin connectors right here, and so that is why I ordered this. So realistically, the only thing we really need to deal with is where to mount this. Now, most likely we'll mount it with double solid tape. We'll make sure we do a great job with our cable management using our Rocoren cable management ties, as well as our heat shrink and all that good stuff. Already have our radiator mounted up extremely clean like. So now it's really just a matter of plug and play. Let's get into it. Okay, and then we need to grab a thumb screw and lock down the power supply, but we'll take care of that later. So let's remove our jumper and let's make our very first connection to the motherboard. Okay, so with this, we're gonna come down. We're gonna go right over the top here. And that is our motherboard plugged in. And we will secure these cables to the post. One great benefit of the tree style open chassis is we have a ton of points to connect our cabling to. Okay, these are our two CPU connectors, and it looks like both of them are split like normal. So this side goes into the motherboard and the split side goes to the CPU. So we're going to plug this into CPU 1. Okay, that's that. And this one we are going to plug into CPU 2. Okay, let's secure these wires with a zip tie. So our only drive in this machine is going to be the M.2 drive, which is going to house the OS. So realistically, we just need to make sure that we have everything we need for power going to this pump. Okay, this, it looks like for right now we're going to have to forego the RGB on the water blocks, the SP3 water blocks. Unboxing the 970 Evo Plus. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, guys, moment of truth. Oh my gosh, guys. Oh, looks like we got a fan off. Boom. Troubleshooting 101. The simplest thing first. Radiator running good. So I plugged in the USB-C cable. I believe this screen, you have to put an SD card in here with the themes. So I got to work all that out. But I mean, guys, come on, look at that, dude. I'm gonna have to go through the manual again, because like this is supposed to be glowing solid purple, and I know for a fact I have all the terminal connections on the switch hooked up properly. So I really don't know what's going on with this right now. But yeah, she is running. Let's get a Windows USB, hook it up to the monitor. Hey guys, so when we last left off, I was getting ready to load, I was getting ready to boot Hulk for the first time, and unfortunately Hulk did not post. Now I was going through everything with a fine-tooth comb, pulling my hair out, trying to figure out why this thing was not posting. I checked all the typical things, just making sure connectors were seated. I grabbed a multimeter and was testing each one of these connectors to make sure we were getting 12 volts from the power supply, and just, you know, your average laundry list of things that you do when your PC, the new one, won't post. Now, what ended up happening was these things here are called jumpers. Of course that thing's in the way, but this is a better view probably. But these things here are called jumpers. They're little connectors that go over the 3 pins and connects 2 of them together and leaves one of the pins off. Each one of these jumpers does a different task or function, right? And with motherboard server boards, what I'm learning is they're far more configurable than your average motherboard. Now, one of these jumpers is for the VRM. Now, the VRM stands for Voltage Regulator Module. And what it does is it takes the 12 volts that the power supply delivers to the board through this connector right here, the 24 pin, and it converts it to different voltages for various components. Now, this RAM here uses 1.2 volts, so obviously you can't just send it, you can't just send it 12 volts, you'll fry it. So what had happened was when I got shipped this motherboard, it shipped without a jumper on those pins. The setting for these specific pins on this machine is pins 1 and 2 need to be jumped. Now, I believe the header was JVCR1. One sec. So I was right. It's JVR1. And that basically, it's like when the jumper's on pins 2 and 3, it disables the VRM. And it's also disabled when all the pins are open. Now, when pins 1 and 2 are shorted, the VRM is enabled, allowing the motherboard to convert the 12 volts from the power supply down to whatever voltages are required by the various components, like each CPU core, the RAM, the SSD, whatever. So, I ordered some new jumpers, I got it sorted out, and I'm going to show you guys how it comes to life for the first time. So before we get into Hulk and installing EOS, I wanted to show you guys this application. This is SuperMicro's IPMI View 2.23.0, and this is an application they created most likely for people in data centers to be able to manage like hundreds of different servers within their data center. It's super cool. It has a ton of features, and it makes it so that you do not need a video system for your machine. You can just run the CPUs, the memory, and then you can just turn this thing on and manage it remotely from another workstation, which is extremely useful, especially for a mining application where you don't want to spend money and you're trying to keep costs down. It allows you to not have to buy a graphics card and manage it remotely from your main workstation or a laptop or whatever. So this is the main page. Now, if you wanted to build one of these systems, to control it, you add a new system. And then once you add the system, it's going to ask you for a name, the IP address, which I'm going to blur out for obvious reasons. Now, I know this is a private IP address, but if somebody ever does get on your network, that information can be used to their advantage. Instead of scanning your whole network, they can just target only the system that they want to target, which is much less noisy and makes it much less likely that they'll be spotted scanning your network. It'll add a description, and then here's where it asks you for credentials, down here where it says login and password. Now, every single SuperMicro system ships with these credentials so that you can manage your system. They did away with the default password, I believe, sometime in the 20-teens, sometime around there, because admin has been a security flaw in different systems for years and years now, and that's being phased out, although some people still use it, which is crazy. Now, you can see the username is still admin, but it comes with a unique password. So once you type in your credentials here, you can log into the system. You just click login, and then it'll give you the connected message on the bottom, and you can see all of these different things that popped up here.
Now this application gives you a ton of control over the system, as well as useful information like logs. So all of these, we'll go into each one of these here just to show you guys about this application. I think it's super cool, and I think it's definitely worth just taking a peek at. So here are the logs for my system. This was a pre-owned board, so there are logs from like when it was used as a server, which aren't really pertinent to what we're doing here. But you can see the 2025 log. Here's our first log, and it shows our first boot from the C drive after we installed the OS, which is Windows 10 Pro. Now you can see all this different log information. There's boots, there's restarts, AC power. It looks like there's a little memory fault here, so we'll probably take a look at that. But it looks like it's just a low voltage or something. Here is the sensors tab, and this is super cool for monitoring. It has a ton of information about how the system is performing. Up at the top here, we have our CPU temps, and temps for each one of the DIMMs, which is super cool. This server stuff goes deep, man. I'm telling you, it's next level stuff here with these server boards. Looks like we're sitting pretty low in the 40s for both CPUs, but you can see you got, fan control, voltage, all that good stuff. Here is the IPMI device tab, and I use this a ton when I was setting up Hulk. It allows you to remotely restart it. Here's the boot control. It allows you to decide how you want to boot, whether it's from a USB key, UEFI, or regular, or jump to the BIOS. I found that super useful and really cool. I think that this remote management stuff is really, really cool, and I wish more PCs had it, even though, it's not really super useful for someone who just has one PC. So, our next tab, we have a bunch of information here about the system, but our next tab that matters is the text console. If you hit start there, it'll launch a console. But this is what we use to remotely manage Hulk. This opens a window with a GUI, and all you have to do is hit launch console, and then you can set up the system as if you're plugged into a monitor. This thing is so cool to me. I absolutely love this application. And now that I know that future versions of Hulk do not need a graphics card, I'm definitely going to take advantage of that and save my money and use the Carbon Edition card that I have for Hulk in another project. So you can see this is Hulk. It's currently mining. You can see XM Rig open there at the bottom. You can see Goo Packs open. It's very, very slow to respond right now because it's being 100% of the CPU is being used to mine. But yeah, that's the IPMI view. Let's get into setting up Hulk.
Hey guys, so unfortunately I've decided to split this into yet another video for Hulk. I was really trying to keep this video under an hour, and there is just quite a lot of content left to do to be able to fit everything I want to go over with Hulk in this last final video. So there will be one more video after that one, and in that video we're going to go through the initial setup of Hulk, all the things you need to do to optimize your system for mining Monero, as well as all the little configuration things like virus software exclusions and firewall rules and all that good stuff. And then we'll finish that video with the cost breakdown and hopefully at least one full week of mining earnings to show how much a system like this can make you. So there's still a pretty exciting video left. I know a lot of the people, especially on the Monero mining subreddit, really want to see the facts and figures and what this build is capable of. So that's going to be the last and final video in the Hulk series. Thank you to everybody who's watched. It really means a lot to me. I hope you enjoyed this series, and we have version 2 in the pipeline. So stay tuned, guys. Like, follow, subscribe if you haven't already. Got a lot of cool projects coming, and I'm super excited for the rest of this year, guys. Virtual Crazy Cyber, signing off. See you in the next one.